Have you ever reached the end of the day wondering why you chose the easy option again, even though you knew exactly what would move your life forward? Most people believe the problem is a lack of discipline. They think successful people simply have more willpower, more motivation, or stronger self-control. But the real obstacle is much quieter than that. Your brain is designed to prefer comfort long before it cares about your potential. That's why you can genuinely want to exercise, start the project, make the difficult phone call, or finally change your habits, and still find yourself doing the exact opposite. It isn't because you don't care about your future, it's because your mind keeps treating what's familiar as what's safest. In this video, you'll discover why your brain keeps pulling you towards short-term comfort, why that invisible battle has nothing to do with being lazy, and how a simple shift in the way you think can help you choose growth even when comfort is calling your name. Because the life you want isn't waiting on more motivation. It's waiting for you to stop believing that comfort is the same thing as safety. Think about the promise you made to yourself recently. Maybe it was, I'll wake up earlier tomorrow, or tonight I'll finally start that project, or this is the week I'm going to stay consistent. When you made that promise, you meant every word. You could already picture the person you wanted to become. More disciplined, more confident, more in control of your life. Then tomorrow arrived. The alarm rang, your shoes stayed by the door, the project remained untouched, and somehow the comfortable choice won again. If you've ever experienced that, it's easy to become frustrated with yourself. You start asking questions that slowly chip away at your confidence. Why am I like this? Why can't I just do what I know I should do? Why does everything seem harder for me than it is for everyone else? Those questions feel honest, but they point you in the wrong direction because they assume your brain is trying to help you build the life you want. It isn't. At least not as its first priority. Your brain's first job has never been to help you become your best self. Its first job is much simpler. Keep you safe. And to your brain, safe doesn't necessarily mean successful. It doesn't even mean happy. More often it means predictable. That's why the life you have today, even the parts you don't enjoy, can feel strangely comfortable. Your daily routines are familiar. Your excuses are familiar. Even your frustrations are familiar. Your brain already knows what to expect. Now compare that with doing something that could genuinely change your life. Starting a business. Applying for a better job. Walking into the gym for the first time. Speaking up in a meeting. Having an uncomfortable conversation you've been avoiding. Every one of those actions carries uncertainty. Your brain can't predict exactly what will happen. And uncertainty feels expensive. So it offers you an alternative. Maybe tomorrow. Not because tomorrow is better, because tomorrow feels safer than today. This is why comfort is so convincing. It rarely sounds like giving up, it sounds like being reasonable. I'll start when I have more energy. I just need to think about it a little longer. Today has been stressful. I'll begin next week. The story changes. The result doesn't. Day after day, your future gets traded for a version of the present that asks almost nothing from you. The strange part is that you often mistake this for a lack of discipline. But imagine standing on the edge of a cold swimming pool. You know getting in will only be uncomfortable for a few moments. You also know you'll probably enjoy swimming once you're moving, yet your body still tells you to stay where it's warm. Not because the water is dangerous, because the edge is familiar. Growth works the same way. The hardest moment is usually the one just before you begin. Once you're moving, the resistance often becomes much smaller than you expected. That's the perspective most people miss. Your biggest obstacle isn't usually the task itself. It's the conversation your brain has with you before the task even begins. And that conversation almost always sounds logical. That's why it's so easy to believe. The moment you recognize that pattern, something changes. You stop treating every excuse as the truth. You begin seeing it for what it really is, a mind trying to protect you from uncertainty, even when uncertainty is exactly where your future is waiting. That realization leads to an even more important question. If your brain naturally pulls you toward comfort, how do disciplined people consistently choose the harder path without relying on motivation every single day? The answer isn't that disciplined people enjoy discomfort more than everyone else. They don't wake up excited to do difficult things every morning. They still feel resistance. They still have days when the couch looks more inviting than the gym, when scrolling feels easier than creating, when staying silent feels safer than speaking up. The difference is much smaller than most people imagine. They've stopped treating comfort as a reliable guide. Instead of asking, "What do I feel like doing right now?" they ask a different question. What kind of life is this choice creating? That single shift changes everything. Imagine standing at a fork in the road. One path is smooth, familiar, and effortless. The other is uneven and uncertain. If you only judge the first few steps, the easy path wins every time. But life isn't shaped by the first few steps. It's shaped by where those steps eventually lead. That's exactly how comfort works. It offers an immediate reward while quietly sending you in a direction you never intended to go. Growth works the opposite way. It asks for something from you today, but it gives something back tomorrow. The problem is that your brain naturally pays more attention to what's happening now than to what might happen months from now. That's why discipline isn't about becoming someone with endless self-control. It's about learning to pause before your first impulse becomes your final decision. The next time you catch yourself reaching for the comfortable option, don't try to fight your thoughts. Don't tell yourself to suddenly become fearless. Instead, ask one simple question. If I repeat this choice every day for the next year, where will it take me? Notice what happens. Your attention shifts away from the discomfort of this moment and toward the direction of your life. That's a powerful place to make decisions from. Then make the goal even smaller. Don't promise yourself you'll study for 3 hours. Open the book. Don't promise to finish the workout. Put on your shoes. Don't promise to write the entire chapter. Write one paragraph. Small actions don't fool your brain. They reassure it. They make change feel less like a threat and more like something you can handle. And once you've started, something interesting often happens. The resistance that felt overwhelming begins to fade. Not because the task changed, because your brain has already realized you're safe. This is why disciplined people don't always wait for motivation. They trust movement more than emotion. They know action creates clarity that thinking alone never can. Over time, those small decisions begin to reshape something even more important than your habits. They reshape your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who's trying to be disciplined. You become someone who keeps promises to yourself. That quiet shift changes the way you approach every challenge, because confidence doesn't grow from imagining a better future. It grows from collecting evidence that you can act even when comfort is asking you not to. In the end, discipline isn't about defeating your brain. It's about teaching it that growth isn't something to fear, it's something you can survive. And eventually, something you can choose without hesitation. Think about the life you say you want. Now think about the choices you make when no one is watching. The distance between those two isn't created by a lack of intelligence or ambition. More often, it's created by the quiet moments when comfort wins without you even noticing. The good news is that this pattern isn't permanent. Your brain will always offer you the familiar path, but you don't have to accept every suggestion it makes. Each time you pause, question the easy choice, and take one small step toward growth, you're doing more than completing a task. You're teaching your mind a new definition of safety. One where uncertainty isn't something to avoid. It's where new skills are built, confidence is earned, and a different future begins. You don't need to become a different person overnight. You only need to make one decision that your future self will thank you for, and then repeat that decision again tomorrow. If this video made you see your own habits in a new way, share your thoughts in the comments. Someone reading your story may realize they're fighting the same invisible battle. And if you want more videos that uncover the hidden patterns behind discipline, mindset, and lasting personal growth, consider subscribing. Because the biggest transformation in your life rarely begins with one giant leap. It begins the moment you stop asking, "What's most comfortable?" and start asking, "Who am I becoming with this choice?"